I've been espousing Dewey's adage for several decades, but I face the challenge of realizing his admonition. Everybody wants to change the world, but nobody wants to change. Sometimes the answer to a problem has been in front of you all along, and all you need to do is step back far enough to see how all the pieces fit. In 2012, on a mountain bike trip to Whistler, this realization really hit home. My two boys were working on an assortment of high-risk skills, and in a matter of hours, they made more progress at Whistler than they had in previous several months back home on the prairies. This experience helped me to realize if you want to be a downhill mountain bike racer and professional rider, you need to learn in the right environment. We made the move to North Vancouver, and now my two boys are working their way into the professional levels of their sport. As a learning theorist, I've been fully aware of how important an environment is to facilitate learning. But for too long, I've been caught up in the pieces of the puzzle and haven't stepped back far enough to see how all the pieces fit. Corresponding to our move to one of the best mountain bike environments in North America, I've also made a move in my thinking to creating significant learning environments when I build courses and programs. All the pieces have been in front of me all along. Now I can see how everything fits. This really isn't a new concept. We design information systems, smart buildings, ecological friendly communities, and so many aspects of our society. But unfortunately, and all too often, we do not apply this holistic approach when we build our courses. Rather than allow the learning environment to come together inadvertently and respond reactively to the learning dynamics that arise, or look to the latest trend or hottest activity of the day to spice up our classes, I suggest we purposely build our courses as significant learning environments that foster and facilitate deeper learning. It has to start with the learner. The needs of the learner become the measuring stick. We must ask questions like, how will this LMS support the learner? How will this curriculum support their needs? How will this pedagogy enhance learning? Will our formative and summative assessments help the learner? And so on. Who is our learner? While we may think that today's learners are born communicators, the reality is we have a diversity of learners who have a diversity of communication needs. Most learners thrive in a collaborative and media-rich environment. They expect to learn all the time and everywhere. They are socially networked and connected and look to their peers and crowdsourcing for information and solutions to problems. Flexibility is a driving force in their lives. How do we know this? Research by the Gartner Group, Educational Advisory Board, McKinsey, Educausa Center Advanced Research, New Media Consortium's Horizon Reports, and many other sources all confirm that in addition to the priority of starting with a learning-centered approach, we have moved into a world of ubiquitous access which has changed everything. We live in a digitally connected world. We are connected all the time and everywhere. This means learning is now mobile, online, blended, and even when face-to-face, it must be digitally enhanced. The classroom is no longer the focus of control. The network is. We live in an age when we can access all the world's information from the palm of our hands. There's never been a better time to be a learner. This means that our instructional design must provide the foundation for this connected learning environment. If we start with the end in mind, we can look at how a course or program will change learners' lives, how it will make them better members of society, contribute to solving a particular problem, and so on. Learning theories and approaches can be interchanged depending on the needs, problem-based or concept-based learning, case-based studies, cognitive apprenticeship, experiential learning, and so on. The key is that we design an environment that is learner-centered, engaging, motivational, contextual, and authentic. How will we know they're learning? We too quickly think of this for assessment when we really need to look at aligning outcomes activities with the assessment and, more importantly, focus on the mastery of knowledge, authentic projects, critical analysis, and creative thinking. We must continue to maintain the highest standards of academic quality. Preparing our students to learn how to learn and adapt to jobs that may not yet exist must be our true measure of academic quality. When we think of support and infrastructure, we often think of this. But we really need to think of the cloud and the connectivity. When people talk about learning technology, they think of laptops being used in the classroom or learning management systems. But it's not just about the technology itself. It's about using the technology when and where you need to solve the problems that you currently have. The best technology disappears. So far, we've talked about the learner, but there is also another key group who controls this process. The teacher is a primary designer of the learning environment, and they take on many different roles. Research shows that we need to shift to more coaching and mentoring because formative evaluation and feedback given within a trusted relationship yields the highest levels of student achievement. All these pieces come together to form a significant learning environment. Unlike many factors in education that teachers can't control, like demographics or budgets, we do have control over the design of our learning environments. The key is that we take the whole learning environment into account, not just the content or curriculum, but the learners, their culture, and their circumstances as well. We should consider this not just at the program level, but be purposeful in designing learning environments for every single course. Today's learners, who live in a world of ubiquitous access, who use YouTube as their primary search engine, and who have grown up using technology to enhance their learning and solve problems, will be coming into your learning environment. What have you created for them? This also leads me to ask, are we teaching today's students as we taught yesterday's? Are we robbing them of tomorrow?